building footprint is approximately 5,000 square feet. As previously stated, the site does exist within the FEMA floodplain zone AE. So as stated, the building will be lifted, but we'll get into that just a little bit later into the presentation. So I'm actually going to go between this plan and the first plan because that's a little clearer, especially with the view. But essentially, just to talk about the existing building, just a little bit in existing site. The existing addition, the 88 parking spaces are located along that landscape island along East Afton Avenue. And essentially, we'll get through how the pedestrian circulation is improved, but those will be relocated. The existing building actually encroaches into the right-of-way of North Delaware Avenue by approximately 1 to 3 feet. That will be improved with the redevelopment of the site. And there are also increased pedestrian circulation coming from off-site parking areas. So as we're looking at the site here, just want to run through a few things. The proposed use is renovation to the existing restaurant. The existing apartment will be removed from the site, so just be used for the restaurant. As noted previously, the parking spaces, the 88 parking spaces located along East Afton are now being relocated as shown with the mouse. Thank you very much for that. Much appreciated. So the 4 parking spaces are being relocated from along the landscape island to the middle of the site across from the building. As you can see, we're doing restriping to allow for a safe pedestrian path for 88 parking spaces to the building. And you can also see that we are striping out a 4-foot wide walking path along the frontage of the building within the parking lot to allow for ADA safe pedestrian path to get to when an ADA lift and steps into a new sidewalk along East Afton Avenue. In the existing condition, there is no existing sidewalk on the East Afton Avenue side of the building. So that is being proposed, and that allows for any pedestrians to then cross East Afton. As you can see, additionally, there are ADA ramps proposed within the intersection of East Afton Avenue and North and South Delaware Avenue. Those are associated with a highway occupancy permit from PennDOT. And again, as stated, there is a guy from here that can discuss that as well. And just to go through just a few more things at the site, the existing building is 5,000 square feet. The new building is approximately 87,000 square feet. So sorry.
It was 87.
Sorry, my apologies. Just too many zeros there, my apologies. Square feet, and essentially, the limit of disturbance is under an acre, and the predominant areas that are being disturbed are within existing paved areas. So the building will be predominantly within existing paved areas, so that actually helps with stormwater management, we'll get into in a second, but the existing pavement will be saw cut in order to do the necessary renovations or the necessary changes to the site. Just to go through the building, a few more things. As previously stated, the site is within the FEMA floodplain, so it is going to be lifted above the elevation of 39.3, which is the FEMA base flood elevation. So it will be lifted 2.1 feet above, as previously stated. And again, the building will be moved. The foundation or the basement will be flood-proof and the building put back in place. And do you want to go to the second plan? Actually, the second rendered one. Perfect. So just want to talk about parking for a second. In existing condition, there are 100 spots on site. With the proposed redevelopment, there would be 84 parking spaces on site with an additional 60 off-site for valet and employees. Those 60 spaces are split between 3 different parcels. Those parcels being the real estate property across the street along with the automotive and the funeral home, split between 1218 and remaining going to the funeral home. So again, our pedestrian circulation improvement allows for the staff that's doing the valet and employees to safely cross Afton Avenue to get to the Yardley Inn. As you can see, there are several things proposed, but our disturbance is basically limited towards the building area and the landscape area along Afton Avenue. We'll be installing new curbing. Within the landscape area, we will be widening the existing driveways to be compliant with PennDOT standards and installing new curbing along Afton Avenue adjacent to the proposed building. And just to run through a few other things regarding stormwater, the project is exempt from peak rate because we meet the no harm condition. We will be meeting water quality by installing rain barrels at downspout locations to capture rainwater and reuse it for watering the proposed landscaping along the foundation plantings and along the frontage along Afton. And then additionally, we are not required to comply with the additional stream bank erosion requirement. Regarding utilities, we will be utilizing, the site is serviced by existing public service for sanitary and water. We will be installing or replacing the existing sanitary lateral in Afton Avenue and the existing water lateral in North Delaware Avenue. Regarding landscaping, as you can see, and I'm using a render plan because it's easier to see here regarding the black and white, but there are 5 trees proposed within the landscape island. There are currently 4 existing there. Those will be replaced with 5 new trees, and then there will be foundation planting along the north and western side of the building, and on the Afton Avenue side, there will be planting placed within a 5-foot or variable at the minimum 5-foot wide planting strip. So if you're on Afton Avenue, you have the building, you have a sidewalk, and then you have a planting strip. And then regarding just E&S measures, we are complying with the PA's E&S manual. We have received a letter of adequacy from the Bucks County Conservation District, and we also have been working with, as stated by Mr. McGinnis, RVE, in going through and addressing any comments regarding our proposed redevelopment and design. Regarding lighting, wanted to touch on that for 1 second as well. There are 3 existing ornamental lightings along East Afton Avenue, 2 being within the landscape island there, and then 1 being located closer to the building. The 1 located closer to the building will remain, while the 2 located within the landscape island will be replaced with ornamental lighting. So it'll be very similar to the ones there, but it will be ornamental. Additionally, there are ornamental lightings proposed within the parking lot today, proposed within the parking lot and surrounding the parking lot to improve the lighting within the parking lot. And then I will turn it back over to Mr. McGinnis. You want to pass it over to Linda?
Yeah, I don't know Mike or Linda.
Okay.
All right, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please.
Yes.
So thank you for having me. I'm Mike Raphael from Raphael Architects in Doylestown.
Welcome.
And Linda Spock is the project architect, and she's done a great job. So I just want to walk you through it. And Linda, you can point from the automobiles, you'd come to the front steps. You'd park, you'd come up these steps, turn left, go up to an entry porch. And if you have accessibility issues, go back, Linda, and show them. You come to the lift, you go straight in, come up to the same level, and you arrive at the same place, at the foyer. Then ahead of you is a new stair, a stair that just goes up to the 2nd floor. And to the right is the bar, new bar. Behind the bar is a new egress stair. And just before we go through the dining on the far side, so a remote stair, is the last of the stairs that we add. So in addition to the stairways, we are lifting the building 5 feet above where it is now, so it's 7 feet above the grade. So we have to have steps that go from the new outside down. So there's steps there that go down to the sidewalk, and on the far side down to the parking lot. Back to the foyer and the entry stair, you can see to the left we have all new bathrooms. They're all ADA compliant on the left. And then right above that is the elevator, so the elevator to the 2nd floor. And then all of the area that's not hatched is the kitchen area. So completely redone kitchen and office space and refrigerator, freezer, and even a little locker room for the staff. And then that's the whole service area. And then the hatched area is all the public area where we have all the tables and chairs and different types of seating. I will say that with the seating, we haven't really gone through full interiors yet, so this is our best guess of what we'll use for tables, but we have to go through that with the owner to make sure we get the interiors correct. So, anything we missed, Linda? I think that covers the first floor. So, on just the back side, we didn't say anything about the lift, so service will come from the lower left on the corner. So a lift, that's an elevated, it's at grade and also can go up to the new grade of the building of 7 feet above the existing grade. And that comes out to a delivery area which can go directly into the kitchen. And it's quite different than the delivery vehicles, which right now would park along the back of the building and go straight in the middle of the building. So we moved that off to the very edge. So then second floor, you can see if you come up the steps and you end up right in front of the elevators again. So the same place if you took the elevator. And then that same core area, you can see we have all new bathrooms again. And it's a much improved space over what's existing in the second floor now. And then most of the rest of the second floor is all interior dining. You can see to the right, you still can go out to the egress stair. And to the left, you can see you could go all the way through to the far egress stair. So that little area right by the stair is sort of a lounge seating area and a second floor bar so that drinks aren't going up and down the elevator or stairs. And then the last piece, the outside area, is a deck, exterior deck. And again, the seating's not exact, so it could be 30 to 50 people, depending on what seating arrangement we end up making there. So the photograph on the top is what it looks like now, and from Delaware Avenue. And the porch is really the infilled porch is really the most prominent architectural element on the building. And I think everybody, is in agreement that it's just great if we can, use what's there or refurbish or replicate. We're going to extend that idea around all the facades of wherever there's dining, because that's the main focus of the inn, that you'd sit there and look out over the river. So it'd be great seating. You can see the building has gotten a little longer on the left and a little longer on the right, mainly because of the two far stairs. So that's why it's a little longer than what you see on the existing. And then we're going to change the windows a bit just for the second floor, just so there's more daylight in and greater views out. And we're also adding the double doors in the middle, which would be gaining access to the deck. The fireplace, we will have to, I just thought we should mention that. Fireplace, we will have to, well, remember, we're going up 7 feet, so it has to, 5 feet to 7 above the grade, right. So it's extended up quite higher than you see the one above. I think that's it on this, yes. And then from the corner at Afton, even though there's not great changes we're making to the structure here, we are taking that concept of the porch, the infilled porch, and wrapping it around rather than the window placement in the existing Yardley Inn. And we're taking the trusses at the peak of each roof and replicating the same type of truss on each peak that we can do it, so you can see on the lower one. And then, so that we can put the little brackets that are above each column and then mid-span at each column, they have depth to them. So we're putting a small pent roof, which is a metal roof that wraps along the side. The siding will be just like, it's the Hardie siding that's similar to what they have now, same color as well. The main difference probably is the base, just that there's a lot more base to see, but it will be the same stone as what you saw in the existing fireplace.
And this is the part of the building where the existing outdoor dining goes away and is replaced with a stair tower.
From the parking side, you see, what you see today is on the top. So we're making it more of the main entrance. So you can see, we described it in plan where you walk into the little landing first, then you go up to your left. But that's all bar and dining area, so we wrap the porch all the way around, the infilled porch look all the way around. And when you get up at the top of the steps, the main entry of the porch is all open, and it actually takes that idea of the pilasters that are between the porch and makes them real columns. To the left is the service kitchen area, so less windows and less ornamentation. And even that larger entry is from, Linda, if you can just show where it's the same size going up on the existing, but it's beyond. So we just pulled it out and extended it effectively on the one on the top.
Also, I want to point out the sidewalk, the new sidewalk along Afton that David mentioned, and the handicap egress. The lift is, you can't see the door of the lift from this view, but it's just next to the entry porch on the ground level.
And from the corners of the site, so back on the top right is the parking area. You can see the tent to your left and the service area. And then on the left side is it coming south on Delaware Avenue. You can see the inn. And then what it'll look like when we're finished. You can see on the left, you see much more of the porch. You do see the stair, but it's been broken up. The massing of the stair has been broken up so that it's not a large addition. It's broken up in sort of residential-sized components and with traditional windows. I think that's the summary of what we're doing. I mean, if you have questions, we have a lot of backup, but I don't think we need to go through each slide. It's just if you have questions for us, we'd happy to answer anything.
Sure, thank you for the presentation. Excuse me, as Mr. McGinnis preempted, you've been through a lot of different rounds with Yardley Borough boards and commissions, so I just want to say thank you to borough staff, to our floodplain manager, our code enforcement officer, our zoning hearing board, our planning commission, our HARB for their diligence on this project. I've been copied on a lot of the emails, so I've been reading through the detail on this project for, it seems like, years. And because of all of those rounds, I think you have preempted many of my questions in your presentation, but I'm sure some of my colleagues have some questions. We'll start down on this end. Mr. Carlson, any questions?
Sure. Couple questions. The second floor deck, outside deck, is the intent to try to use that all year, you know, put heaters and use it most of the time? Or is it strictly going to be a April to October kind of thing?
I mean,
The outside.
the approval that we're gonna come for, I guess after this one, would be for outdoor dining. I believe it's April to November. Obviously, with the warmer weather lasting longer into the winter, we'd like to use it longer if possible, but if you guys vote and approve us for April to November, we'd take that as well. But yeah, if we could do outdoor heaters up there, it'd be, we'd try to, if people wanna sit outside, we'll let them sit outside, but our intent is to use it from April till November.
And then my second question, I couldn't really tell on the second floor view, are there any private rooms? Are there going to be any private rooms when it's all said and done? Are those not partitions around there, or are those,
They're beams,
they're beams, right? So it's still one open,
as much as open
No,
as,
that's, we are proposing to have partition walls that can separate the room into two. Yeah. So if we have different functions or we have one group, we can kind of close it off and separate.
and close that?
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering.
We just
Okay.
haven't progressed that far with the plans yet, but we would like to separate the spaces if possible.
Okay, and in the downstairs, it'll be
Downstairs
just
will be
open?
open.
Downstairs it won't have that, okay, thank you. I just wanted to reiterate, I was on planning commission, so I've seen a lot of this before. You've made very good progress in the last couple of years in getting the details down. So you've preempted a lot of my questions as well, because I know it's what you've gone through, so thank you.
Thank you.
Councilperson Siegel Morris, any questions? None at this time, thank you. I'm wondering if you plan to host weddings in the space or large events that
I mean,
aren't currently hosted?
we can accommodate some events. I mean, there's limitations on wedding size. I don't know if Michelle and Even.
We can do up to about 100 for weddings in the east and west room. And I believe that probably be
The same? Thank you. It's going to be largely sized. Okay, thank you. And how many parking spots are currently covered by the tent that will be removed?
I don't have it in front of me. Is
Only 8, okay.
it 8 or 6 or 8?
Less than 10, that's helpful. I didn't know, I didn't have any idea, so thank you. Mr. Finer, any questions?
Yeah, you've been through HARB, so I don't pretend they get a lot deeper, but I just was curious. One is there any commentary that you've received that you've, are they 100% with this current rendition, or is there still back and forth? Is it?
No, we received their approval to move forward. So we've had, I've lost track of how many hard meetings, but, yeah, there's been some talk about, preserving, the image, and, I mean, the 2 stair towers on each end kind of dominate, but unfortunately, they're code compliant issues, so, we feel like, in this elevation, you see the original part, which is the main part, and the tall gable in the center. That's the main part, of the historic part, is that center part. So, yeah, we realize that I couldn't satisfy all of HARB's, requirements. We did, we came to an agreement on, this is what we need for the life safety for egress. And, we listened to every comment they had, to the brackets, to the color, to the shutters. So, we really tried to make sure that, we nailed it, and that everyone at the end of the day is happy with the product as much as, we are gonna be happy with it. That the people in the borough would still recognize it as the inn when we're all said and done.
And the bottom,
Just so you know, they were unanimous at the last meeting.
Yes,
oh, okay.
thank you.
And there was more information presented to HARB. Like, for example, this slide is one of the HARB slides where we got into more detail on materials and some of the other detailing. We just didn't want to bog you all down.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's a very in-depth process. That's my question is overall, but also the area on the bottom, I saw the landscaping looks kind of like young. Is the intention that landscaping would grow? This is just the beginning,
Yeah.
And what's that, is that stone? What's beneath the windows?
So beneath the windows is gonna be stone. It's a veneer stone. It's a natural stone product that we're getting from Delaware
Delaware
Quarry.
and we can get it in 2 different thicknesses, so you see the pilasters, wherever there's a column, below it, there's a piece that sticks out just by using 2-inch or 4-inch stone.
And that's stone that's period specific to the area, and I imagine HARB approved.
Yeah, it's called the Jericho stone. It's
Some of that
from the area.
good and
It's
some
from
of
the
that-
area, yeah.
It's real stone, it's not.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's not concrete, yeah.
And it's
Great.
exactly the same stone that is on the current fireplace.
The quarry remembered that they provided it in 1970 to the previous owner to install it on the outside fireplace. So,
And then the opening to I just wanted to see the slide again with the interaction from the new sidewalk into the parking lot and what that space looks like between it's hard to see, but more like looking this way into there? In other words, the currently open space parking lot, how does that change?
You want to go to the site plan?
You know, it's sort of like a big opening right now.
Yeah, the opening, PennDOT is making us enlarge the opening, so you'll see in this picture, like, right, that's the part, that size increase there. The island is actually closer. We're gonna have to remove that and bring it back to make the opening a little bit wider. We are proposing, and I don't wanna speak, if Guy needs to speak, but, one way in, at this entrance, and then the other one it'll be one way out. So there'll be circulation going through the parking lot, going all the way through and then coming back out. There was concern from PennDOT about stacking up and getting too close to the intersection, so those are some of the agreements that we had with PennDOT, that we would widen it up and make it one way.
Okay, that's it for me, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McCann?
I saw the last presentation, Harb. You did a really good job of responding to all the concerns and doing your due diligence and going through the whole process over these number of years. So thank you.
Thank you.
I have no questions.
Thank you.
Mr. Applebaum?
Yes, thank you. I have a couple questions for clarity. Currently, how many parking spaces are there? 100. 100? And we're going to 88?
84 with 60 off-site.
Right.
And that's what we needed zoning relief for.
Okay. If I understood correctly, the total amount that the building is being raised is 5 feet?
5 feet.
Okay.
Right now, it's 2 feet above grade, so 5 and 2, 7's above grade.
And this hasn't been discussed, but how long do you expect this project to go on for, and what kind of disruptions do you perceive for the business and also for the community?
We, right now, we're planning on starting construction in 2025 if we obtain all the approvals. We believe it's at least a year. It might be a little bit more, a year and a half, but at that point in time, the inn will be shut down for that duration. We did try to look at trying to do it in phases, but with having to elevate the inn and new utilities, new foundation, it's just, we're gonna have to close down for a little bit. We're gonna try to get it reopened as quickly as possible, because Michelle will kill me if I don't.
And I will finish up with that comment. The Yardley Inn is, for us, for my family, is a special place, and I just want to say how much I appreciate that the Yardley Inn folks are investing in this building, because I am happy to see this be maintained for many more generations. So I fully support it, and I'm happy for you and the rest of the Yardley Inn folks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, any questions?
I have none, thank you.
Mr. Griffin, we're going to vote on final approval at this time before moving to the conditional use hearing?
So if the applicant's done with their presentation, we will have to have just a brief period of public comment before you vote.
And we are, I would just note what I said at the outset, that we do have the 9 waivers that have been identified and so stated in Remington Vernick's review letter. If necessary, we're happy to discuss those. I did just want to state everything else, and the review letters are all well complies, with the exception of the waivers that have been noted.
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you.
Is there any public comment this evening? Yes, Mr. Scherer.
I'm Barry Scherer, 31 North Main Street. I'm also a member of the Sewer Authority, and really a question. It looks like the discharge from the restaurant will increase with the renovations, and have the proper approvals from the Sewer Authority been given, or are they to be applied for, or how will that be handled?
So that's one of the items we're working with RV on to, once the sewer exemption that will be passed to RV, when sewer exemption is received.
So I'm sorry, I didn't catch all that. So
When
that's,
when the sewer exemption
yes.
is received, that'll be given to RVA as part of the final.
Okay, so that's not done yet. That's something to be
we're
done in
waiting
the
to receive
future.
for that.
Okay, thank you. Very nice job. Beautiful.
Thank you for the question. I did not think down to the sewer level, so thank you, Mr. Scherer. Any other public comment this evening? Okay, hearing none, I'll call the question, or I would entertain a motion, actually, for final approval of the Yardley Inn Land Development application.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'd like to second it.
Motion was made by Councilperson McCann, seconded by Councilperson Applebaum. Any further discussion from council? Any discussion from the public? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the conditional use hearings.
Yeah, so procedurally, it's just a little odd because we do have to have a formal hearing on 2 other applications. So just for the record, these are also the applicants TYI Yardley Inn Holdings LLC, TYI Yardley Inn Operations LLC, and Pantry Holdings LLC. It's for the same property at 82 East Afton Avenue, being the Yardley Inn. Bucks County Tax Parcel ID number 545-62. So there's 2 applications. The applicant has already received a recommendation from approval from the Borough Planning Commission on February 9th, 2023, and April 13th, 2023. The applicant obtained recommendations for approval of a certificate of appropriateness for both applications from HARB on April 20th, 2023. Public notice of these 2 conditional use hearings were duly advertised on Sunday, April 30th, and Sunday, May 7th. As evidenced by a proof of advertising from the Bucks County Courier-Times. Public notice was also posted and continuously maintained at least 5 locations on the property beginning on Monday, May 1st, 2023. So there's 2 applications. The first application proposes an outdoor dining area of 785 square feet and no more than 50 seats, and this is the location on the 2nd floor of the renovated building. The second application proposes the installation of a temporary 45-foot by 30-foot, so 1,350 square feet, tent on a raised 2x4 wood platform in the parking lot to the rear of the property, adjacent to North Delaware Avenue, along with an additional 675 square foot seating area to the southwest of the tent, for a total of 76 seats for outdoor dining pursuant to Section 27-618. In addition, this application again is for conditional use approval for a permit for outdoor dining under sections 27-618 and 27-1315 of the Yardley Borough zoning ordinance. At this time, I would just ask, is there any members of the public that are seeking party status this evening? There will be a period of public comment. This is for anybody that's basically directly affected by the application. Okay, seeing none, I'll kick it over to Mr. McGinnis again.
Thank you. And Mr. Griffin, just as a housekeeping item, I note that there is a stenographer present. What I am not sure on, so for clarity, I was planning on just doing a colloquy to not be overly repetitive and then have Mr. Golden and Mr. Raphael swear and affirm to their understanding that everything that I've summarized is true and correct, and then open up for questions. I do note that I believe there was some transcription occurring with respect to the preliminary final approval, so I'm still going to go through the same process, but in that event, if the preliminary final approval was also transcribed, I can have Mr. Stewart as well be sworn in and swear and affirm that everything he said was true and correct, and we can incorporate that by reference, whatever your preference would be there.
No, I think that's permissible to just have him basically adopt the prior testimony as well, and if you want to testify by summary and then just have him approve it, that's permissible as well.
Very good. And the other item I would note is, in conjunction with the preliminary final approval, we supplied to council, obviously, the slide deck, which is before council for consideration. I would think it'd be simplest just to collectively mark all of that as A1 as an applicant exhibit that we would offer for the record.
Okay.
It's acceptable.
You just have to vote to omit the exhibit.
Do I hear a motion to accept the exhibit, A1? Is there a second?
Second.
Motion was made by Councilperson McCann, seconded by Councilperson Applebaum. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? 6-0.
All right, thank you very much. Again, we are here on behalf of the Yardley Inn for 54-005-062, property located at 82 East Afton Road. Property zone C1 commercial. It's improved with the restaurant. And as we've covered as part of the preliminary final approval, outdoor seating currently exists on site, both for the corner of the property where there are approximately 16 seats. Those seats would be eliminated as part of the expansion of the second floor. And then there is a seasonal tent that has been in operation on and off since the beginning of COVID. We have supplied seating plans and a proposed layout to the borough for the borough's consideration. As you can see on the exhibit which is before you, there is a identified patron area, which with this iteration shows a variable number between 35 and 38 seats. The reason for the differential number on the floor plan is the combination of defined seating and the flex seating space in the area that Linda's depicting before you. And as Mr. Griffin stated, we think it could reasonably accommodate up to 50 people, but again, our current plan is 35 to 38 spaces. There are a number of criteria that are set out in the borough ordinance regarding conditional use for outdoor dining. All of those criteria fall between compliance, which I'll run through them very quickly, that the high-level points are not applicable because of the nature of this particular seating area not being on a public means of ingress, egress, or covered dining area, or pre-existing conditions on site. So again, briefly, the restaurant is operated in a commercial district. It is presently serviced by a restaurant. We have submitted all the requisite property information regarding street locations, ownership, et cetera, as part of the site plans in the exhibit, which is before the borough this evening. The Yardley Inn does have a liquor license, which is operational on site. We have received HARB approval, as is required for conditional use. We acknowledge as one of the conditions that it's not transferable. There is no obstruction with the second floor dining area, meaning the second floor dining area does not block means of ingress, egress for members of the public. We are willing to comply with the seasonal component of this and the hours, if that's borough's preference. We acknowledge that there will be no outdoor food preparation or bar. We will comply with the requirements set forth in the conditional use ordinance with respect to music and noise. And then I would just highlight that there is no requirement that's applicable here on a daily basis to remove things like furniture or temporary equipment, because again, this is not placed on a public sidewalk or right-of-way, and we're not blocking ingress or egress. Everything else that remains, again, is will comply or not applicable, and we have additional property information, again, with the exhibit that's been supplied to Borough Council. So with that, what I would like to do is have Mr. Golden sworn in, as well as Michael Raphael, and just, again, affirm to the best of their knowledge and belief that what I've summarized is true and correct to the best of their knowledge and would be sufficiently similar to testimony that they would offer if they were sworn to testify themselves. And then if I could start with Peter.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Golden, you heard my summary that I just presented to Borough Council, is that correct?
That is correct.
And you've also, in fact, provided some summary and information on the preliminary final approval as well this evening, correct?
That's correct.
Has the summary that you've provided yourself, as well as the summary I have provided, true and correct to the best of your information, knowledge, and belief?
Yes,
Okay, and you do so swear?
I do.
All right, very good. I'd also like Mr. Raphael, if I could, have him sworn in.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
All right, Mr. Raphael, you've heard the summary that I've provided Borough Council, is that correct?
That's correct.
Is that true and accurate to the best of your information, knowledge, and belief?
Yes, it is.
and the information that you've provided the borough this evening with respect to the preliminary final land development approval is also true and correct to the best of your information, knowledge, and belief.
Yes, it is.
Very good, thank you. And then just as a last housekeeping item, if I can have David affirm the same. All right.
Your name again?
All right, Mr. Stewart, you heard the summary.
Coming forward, just so
I'm
we can
sorry.
get you on microphone. Thank you.
Mr. Stewart, you heard the summary I provided to Borough Council with respect to the second floor dining area, correct?
Correct.
Is the information provided true and correct to the best of your knowledge, information, belief?
Correct.
And you also provided information to council tonight with respect to the preliminary final land development approval, is that right?
Correct.
And that information that you provided is true and correct to the best of your information, knowledge, and belief?
Correct.
All right. I have nothing further. We have a number of slides. We're happy to go through anything additional if council would like.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So at this time, if you have any questions, if you don't, you can open it up for public comment, and then after that, you could go ahead and move to vote on just this portion.
Yes, Mr.
Hope it's appropriate time for this question. I would like some clarity on the tent and the timing of it and the duration, because I don't understand.
So this is right now, and I know it's odd, we're just
Oh.
dealing with just that second floor outdoor dining area, so if
Okay.
you save it, we'll get to
Save
that.
You're going to have another annoying, repetitive spiel from me in 5 minutes on the
Same
tent.
thing again.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll just reference it.
Yep.
It sounds to me, and from reviewing the other, the materials provided, that this is similar to how we've handled other permanent outdoor dining in the borough, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions. Anyone else?
So are there any members of the public that would like to make public comment on, again, just on this limited portion? Okay, it's ripe for a motion if you'd like to vote.
Do I hear a motion to approve the application for permanent outdoor dining at 82 East Afton Avenue?
So moved.
Motion was made by Councilperson Carlson, seconded by Councilperson Applebaum. Any further discussion from council? Seconded by Councilperson Siegel Morris. Did I say Applebaum?
Yes, I'm so confused.
It's always you. No further comment from council? From the public? I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 6-0.
Okay, Mr. McGinnis, you can now move on to the second application.
All right, thank you. For the last time, again, good evening, Mike McGinnis, on behalf of the Ardley Inn. So this is with respect to what I'm going to label the temporary tent. I will state for the record that the tent is going to be removed permanently as part of the renovation and addition. This came up because, as Peter stated, unfortunately, we're moving as quickly as we would like, and you've seen evidence that that's not as quickly as anybody would like, I think, and being realistic about the remaining items that we have before we can break ground. The reality is we're probably not going to achieve that in the next 18 months. And the tent has been a real lifesaver to the inn since the beginning of COVID. And nobody, including the Ardley Inn, obviously wants the tent as a permanent component on the site. But we're hoping to be able to utilize the tent seasonally between April and November for the balance of 2023 and again from 2024. Once we break ground, there is no more tent moving forward, period. So that was what prompted the submission, and PJ and the borough staff has been honestly incredible in a short period of time, making sure we could coalesce this so we could arrive tonight to have everything in front of you for consideration, even if it's been repetitive in nature. So Mr. Griffin summarized some of the specifics with the tent, but it's 30 by 45. We'll sit approximately 19 and a half feet from the existing restaurant. We will have 14 tables underneath the tent. which is 56 seats with 4 tables located just next door with the umbrellas. We do have a, Peter has it on boards. It's also in a slide somewhere that was toggled through as part of the presentation, but I'll, yeah.
That's the end, this is the proposed tent area, if you put that over there, you kind of know where it was the last couple of years. So we're proposing there, inside of that area, we're proposing a layout very similar to what we've had in years past. A few tables out front and then the rest underneath the tent. And then if you hadn't been over there to see, that's basically what it will look like when we go to reinstall it. That was a big take last year.
So as Pete's indicating, we're trying to, I mean, it's a tent, we understand it's a tent, but we've taken pride in the actual aesthetics of the tent while we hope it can remain on site for the next 18 months, give or take. As I indicated, we're willing to comply with the ordinance, meaning the tent from April 1st through November 15th. We'll also abide by the timing restrictions in terms of the hours of operation. And I will, again, apologize for this, but in 45 seconds, just tick off again some of the components of the conditional use requirement. It's operated in the commercial district, serviced by a restaurant. We've supplied the property information as part of the application and with the exhibits that we've admitted. TYI has a liquor license. We also received harbor approval for the tent. We acknowledge it's not transferable. Even though this is not on the second floor, there is no obstruction in terms of a public right-of-way or sidewalk. We'll comply with the seasonal components and hours. There's no food preparation or bar. We'll comply with the music and noise with the tent. And we're, again, because it's not located within a right-of-way or sidewalk, we would like to not remove the furniture on a daily basis under the tent. It's operated, I think, successfully, and it's been operated well by the inn. We're hoping, again, to be able to do that with the explicit condition that this tent will be removed permanently as we break ground at the beginning of 2025, and certainly before April of 25. So that's all we're asking for. So again, thank you. I would have Peter sort of just testify, but again, if you can be sworn in and affirm everything, Mr. Golden.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony about you is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes. All right, and Mr. Golden, you can affirm that your testimony that you provided with respect to the tent and the other components this night is true and correct?
That's correct,
As
yes.
well as the summary that I provided to Borough Council is true and correct to the best of your information, knowledge, and belief?
Yes.
All right. I have nothing further, Mr. Golden, and I don't know in this case actually that we need Michael sworn in. I think Peter's sufficient.
Okay, so same thing. Is there anybody here this evening that would like to make public comment, again, just regarding the temporary tent? Okay, seeing no one, it's ripe for a motion.
Do I hear a motion to approve the application for outdoor dining at a tent, under a tent at 82 East Afton Avenue? Is there a second? Second. Motion was made by Councilperson Siegel Morris, seconded by Councilperson Applebaum. This time, I'm fairly certain. And is there any discussion from council or questions?
Could you guys just confirm, it looks to me like the plan is the exact same tent area, number of seatings as we've had for the last, at least a year. I don't know if the.
Two years, I think, yep.
I just want to make sure that it's the same setup.
Yes, it is, exact, yep.
And just to also clarify, the tent you said goes away as soon as you break ground. So in that period, from when you break ground to when it's complete, what's the length of that period?
In terms of the construction of the renovation, approximately a year.
So you didn't want the tent during that time?
There's no,
It'll be inactive.
It's closed completely.
yeah, correct.
Have there been any noise complaints regarding the tent in the last 2 years? And any parking issues in the last 2 years because of the tent? Okay, thank you. Any other questions from council? Any questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 6-0.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
Been
you very
wonderful. We
much.
really appreciate everything. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, they did a great job.
All right.
My pleasure.
What'd you say?
You make it disappear. No, it's a magic trick.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations, good luck.
Virtual, I'll catch up.
But it's not showing live for some reason. We can't figure out why. So is the,
My wife texted me, said it wasn't working at first, but now it is, she said.
she said,
I just asked her, is it working now? And she said,
yeah, I don't know, but we're recording it, so I'll be able to upload it tomorrow.
By the way, dinner at Nancy's tonight.
Oh.
We get out on time.
Still live and active, y'all. Okay. Feels odd to continue on with our meeting now, but we will do just that with the police chief's report, please.
No report this evening, ma'am.
Thank you. Manager's report, please.
I'm asking council's consensus to accept the May 16th, 2023 finance report.
Any issues from anyone on that? You have consensus?
Okay, as you heard, we are live streaming. Not really, because it's not working tonight, but it is being recorded, so I'll be able to hopefully upload it tomorrow. So we're a work in progress.
I would just like to add a comment that we were quoted to have a live tech package where we have someone here from the company that installed the live stream equipment. It was astronomically expensive, and we opted not to do that, knowing that it was going to take a little longer to get the kinks worked out, but we believe in our small town budgeting and cost savings, and we will get there. So please bear with us, and apologies.
So there's one more piece that's coming. It's a TriCaster that's going to help us get our recordings onto our cable TV channels, because we do have them. So that's coming probably early fall. And then the last item I has is, as you are aware, that I'll be attending the PSAB conference in June. And in order to be a voting member, I have to get approval from council. So I'm asking for council's approval to be a voting delegate.
What sort of approval? A formal vote, or? Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve Manager Johnson to attend the PSAB conference in 2023 as a voting delegate?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion was made by Councilperson Siegel Morris, seconded by Councilperson Finer. Discussion from council?
Where is it located?
In Hershey.
Could you bring me back?
David.
I think that's wonderful that you're doing that, and I know we benefit from your consortium of other borough managers and you being active in the Association of Boroughs, so I look forward to you bringing back lots of tidbits for us to action on, and I hope you have a great growth and professional development experience. Anything from the public on that motion? Any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 6-0. So, thank you. Solicitor's report, please.
No report this evening.
Thank you. Mayor's report.
Yeah, just real quickly, 2 items. First of all, I want to thank everybody for the support of Carry the Load. We successfully exceeded our donation of $5,000, greatly because of some people that were in the audience, some people that may be in the audience, some people that are sitting up front here at this table, and our major sponsors. So I want to thank everybody for that and the support. Secondly, Memorial Day is ahead of us, and as I always try to encourage everyone, there is an amazing part of Memorial Day, the rifle salutes that go on starting at 7 a.m. in the morning, meeting at the American Legion. If you have never been a part of it, it is truly what the day is about. So bring your family, bring your young ones, whatever you need to do to teach people about the true meaning of Memorial Day. That is really a special part of the day, and I encourage everybody to attend.
Thank you. Let's move on to council member reports. Councilperson Siegel Morris.
Only briefly, I know that Experience Yardley has started their porch parties, and they had their first one last Friday. And they also did an event in Buttonwood. They had artists in plein air. So just keep your eye out on for their announcements on Facebook for their upcoming events.
Thank you. Councilperson Finer.
Public Works met today, and we discussed some outstanding issues to be completed by the contractor for the North Main Street Sidewalk Phase 2. One of those things includes cleaning up of Fitzgerald Field, and because as you know, there's some storage used there, and it has to be restored to its original state. We also are still waiting on the Mary Yardley Bridge, and was discussion of additional follow-ups to try to get things moving there, because we're really just waiting for this one little thing to happen so we can get going. And we also discussed grants, one of which I think the one to mention that's important is there's another DCED grant available for next year, and that's a no-match grant. So regardless of what happens with our sidewalk grant that we're still waiting on for Phase 3, we can go ahead and we'll be putting that before council soon to take the work we've already done for that grant that we did not get this time around, that we'd hopefully get next time around with minimal updates. That's it for me.
That's good news. Thank you. Councilperson McCann.
No report.
Councilperson Applebaum.
Yes. Just need to find yes, well, first, I'd like to say that the graffiti ordinance is moving along. I had a little setback. My two-person task force is now reduced to one, but I'm still moving along, and I am hoping to present some the first week in June. I will, prior to that, I will submit it to Colonel Hefner.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Second, the grant that I was looking to, the pass-through grant that I was looking for was denied. We asked for some feedback on why we did not receive it. It's the one regarding the watershed and cleanup. The good news is that it's not too late for another round, which we will apply for by the end of August. And so, though we will not be doing it as an Earth Day celebration cleanup, we hopefully, with the suggestions that were made, be able to come back and say that we received this for the following year.
Thank you.
And that's it.
Councilperson, I don't have a report. I do have one item under discussion items, but Councilperson Carlson, any report this evening?
report.
Okay, we'll move on to a statement in response to accusations of discrimination in our Civil Service Commission hiring practices. So I know I speak for this board when I say that we take very seriously allegations of discrimination. I thoroughly investigate or ask others among the borough staff to thoroughly investigate each time such allegations are made. You don't need to project that unless you want to. It's just what I'm reading. But when accusations are made regarding the conduct of our staff who are on payroll or regarding the legality of our operations as a borough, and these allegations are without merit, it is usually our best practice as a council to not give them undue attention or airtime during a council meeting. So I hope that the community knows that when we do not directly respond to each and every allegation, it is not a confirmation as to the truthfulness of these claims or allegations. With that being said, I believe the public deserves a more formal response to recent claims made against our Civil Service Commission, Chief Kelly, and Manager Johnson, and others. On May 2nd, 2023, a resident made numerous claims. The claims were made via an email blast to an unknown pool of recipients, and also at the May 3rd Yardley Borough Council meeting. The leading claim is that the Yardley Borough discriminated against our officers, specifically Hispanic officers. As background, when a full-time police officer is hired, the Civil Service Commission of Yardley Borough must certify a list of candidates for the position. This is called an eligibility list. The list rankings are primarily based on the Civil Service Patrol Officer final examination, written and oral scores, and can also include other factors like veteran status, which is a point benefit to the applicant of 10 points. Yardley Borough Council votes to hire based on that list. I'm trying to keep my own conjecture out of the response as much as I can, so I have prepared a fact-based PowerPoint, which I will go through all the claims that were made and respond to them. I would also like to add very clearly for the record that I asked that Chief Kelly and Manager Johnson, the police force, and the Civil Service Commission not be involved in this response or in my investigation. Beyond having Manager Johnson project the PowerPoint for me this evening, since allegations were made against these bodies, I want everyone to know that it was independently investigated. So the first claim is that the Civil Service list of eligible candidates were fabricated in response to a right-to-know request. The assertion here is that they were retyped and they should not have been retyped. Here are the eligibility lists that were initially presented in response to a right-to-know request. And here next to them is our legal guidance from Hill Wallach on responding to that right-to-know request. They said failing scores should be redacted since it is not possible to redact failing scores without revealing that they are failing. It is recommended to delete the scores from all applicants or retype documents without scores, and noted that the requester was not seeking examination records. So in this case, our right-to-know assistant and Manager Johnson followed exactly the legal guidance that was provided in responding to the right-to-know request. And these are, again, the lists. Next slide, please. The next claim is that Manager Johnson removed Officer Carlito Cortez and moved Officer David Ramos to the bottom of the list. So as part of an appeal, we were asked to release the original records, so the non-retyped redacted records. You'll see that that Officer Carlito Cortez is not on any of these lists, neither the redacted versions initially released nor the final originals. On the second list, you will notice that in the retyped version, there is an administrative error with David Ramos's name being moved to the bottom. I will just make it abundantly clear that the final list shown on the right side of your screen is what was voted on 4 years ago, and the eligibility list on the left was created in 2023 of this year. So again, 4 years after this hire took place, so it in no way had any effect on the hiring of Officer Harris, who ranked first and was ultimately hired back in 2019. Next slide. Next claim is that I said the borough was not getting applicants of color and women applicants for full-time police officers, and I think that this is just important to present within full context of the statement. So the resident said you need to see it in the context of we have never hired a full-time female police officer or a full-time black police officer, and I think it's a reflection of the board. I responded, and we have never had one who has ranked top in the civil service appointment process, who has not withdrawn their application. Chief Kelly has done a lot of work trying to pull in more diverse applicants, and we are not getting the applicants of color. We are not getting the female applicants. You can see here that the top candidate was female in 2022, 2023. There's no date on that. I think it was 2022. But she withdrew, and the top candidate in 2019 was Joseph Harris. Next slide. Claim that Chief Kelly said that he did not remember Officer Cortez ever competing for a full-time position with the Yardley Borough police officer position. Again, context is important here. Officer Cortez was voted down, and Officer Harris, a local old good good old boy got that position, and that was a Hispanic that was not put on the board. Thompson, based on the civil service process, which we do not set, correct? It is a point-based system. Chief Kelly, and I don't remember Officer Cortez ever competing for the full-time position with this police department. And again, here's the final eligibility list that was voted upon. Officer Cortez was not a contender, i.e. he did not compete for the full-time position as he did not make the final eligibility list. Next slide, please. There was a claim that we don't provide proper notice of Civil Service Commission meetings. We don't take minutes, and the meeting location is not appropriate because the room is too small. This is just a sampling of our Civil Service Commission meeting notices that are published. There were about 20 in all that I reviewed. The bottom shows minutes, just again a sampling, again about 20 that I reviewed. You'll note it's very small, I apologize, but the one that includes a little more verbiage at the very bottom of the minutes, that one was where we were voting on an eligibility list, and it did take place in this room rather than the conference room downstairs. All Civil Service Commission meetings during the in-question period, so during these 2 hires, were held publicly at Borough Hall. The cited law does not specify requirements on the size of the rooms, and the meetings in which hiring was discussed, again, happened in this room and not downstairs. Next slide. There was a claim that the chair of the Civil Service Commission is married to the Yardley Borough manager. That's true, but the claim was that that is inappropriate and that the CSC commissioners and their wives are also auxiliary officers in violation of PA state law. Hill Wallach was consulted previously before these people were appointed, and again checked with after these claims were made. No conflict was found. And just a reminder, because this often gets confused, civil service does not apply to the auxiliary officers, only to full-time police officers. Next slide. Claim that the CSC commissioner serves on another Yardley Borough board. Again, we previously consulted with legal counsel. We consulted with them again. No conflict was found. Note that the term office, elective office, and appointed office are not defined under the civil service provisions contained in the PA state law. Final slide. There were 2 items that we may not be in compliance of, and I do want to bring these to council's attention because I think it's fair that we, in auditing ourselves, we make changes. So we do need to submit an annual report. The Civil Service Commission does need to submit an annual report, which we will do going forward. And that all eligibility lists for promotion should not only be reviewed by the Civil Service Commission in order to make a promotion, but they should also be maintained into the future for right-to-know responses. That concludes my presentation. I just want to reiterate that I was very upset when I received the email 2 weeks ago because, again, we do take it very seriously. The work that the Civil Service Commission does is very important. We do not take lightly the hiring of full-time police officers, and we go through all of the proper processes to do that based on the Civil Service Commission rules and regulations. And I hope that this response has been helpful to the public in understanding our process a little better. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Can I just thank you for putting that together and making that presentation? I think it was, as you said, sometimes it's best not to feed the flame, but I think it was important, as you said in this case, to put that out. So I appreciate your work on that and thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, hearing no other comments, we will move on to other business. Sorry about that, Mr. Foley, all the way down there.
That's okay. Thank you. We have 3 items for council's consideration. I'll go through them per our agenda. First up is the FEMA-funded 46 Brown Street payment certificate number 2. The contractor submitted payment certificate number 2 request for the FEMA-funded 46 Brown Street elevation. This project is funded by grants. RVE recommends payment to Premier Builders Incorporated in the amount of
Do I hear a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Is there a second? Motion was made by Councilperson Carlson, seconded by Councilperson Finer. Discussion from council? From the public? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. The second item is FEMA-funded 81 North Delaware Avenue Payment Certificate Number 2. The contractor submitted payment certificate number 2 request for the FEMA-funded 81 North Delaware Avenue elevation. This project's funded by grants. RVE recommends payment to Caddick Construction Company Incorporated in the amount of $34,741.
Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion was made by Councilperson Finer, seconded by Councilperson McCann. Any discussion from council?
I just want to reiterate, these are all grant funded, so they sort of go through the borough.
From the public? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. The last item for other business is FEMA-funded 81 North Delaware Avenue, change order number 1. The contractor has submitted change order number 1 request for the FEMA-funded 81 North Delaware Avenue elevation. The additional work is for detaching the rear portion of the house and raising it to the main floor elevation. This change order will be the responsibility of the homeowner. RVE recommends the approval of change order number 1 to Caddick Construction Company Incorporated, the amount of $60,870.
Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion was made by Councilperson Finer, seconded by Councilperson McCann. Discussion from anyone?
I have one question on this one. Is this change order, I know the owner will pay for it, but was this in the original scope? They always knew they were going to do this, and this is just a formality of doing it? Or is this something that, once they got into it, they decided they wanted to do this extra part? Do you know?
It was in the original scope. The owner elected before, when we were awarding it, not to pursue that. However, they changed their mind.
I see.
So then we've worked with the contractor on it, and so we can present it to council.
Okay, understood.
Any further questions or comments? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 6-0. And unless anybody has anything to add to the agenda, I would entertain a motion to
I'd
adjourn.
like to move for adjournment.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion was made by Councilperson Applebaum, seconded by Councilperson McCann. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned at 9:08.